Welcome into the National Defense. It's Randy Miller. And, the show business royalty is here, back with us, two-time Oscar winner, legendary Michael Douglas. Michael, how are you?
I'm good, Randy. Thank you very much for that illustrious introduction.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more that can be said, but it's great to have you on the program. And I got to ask you, what is that on the ceiling there where you are?
Okay. I'm in my father's bedroom up in Santa Barbara, California. They had a little kind of a weekend house here. And, my dad passed away a couple of years ago.
Right.
And then when his wife passed away, Anne, just recently, Dad passed away at 103. Anne was 102. Anyway, I've come up here to kind of, clean up. They left the house pretty much intact. And so there's a lot of memorabilia. And one of the things was that Dad had, it's sort of a Matisse, the artist Matisse. It's a painting. It's sort of his logo or his sort of sculpture. And he's got two of them. You can't see the other one. Well, I can show you. The other one is,
oh, wow.
There's the other one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
cool.
So he's got them kind of flying together. And I'm sleeping in Dad's bed here while I've been staying up here. It's been a great kind of time to
I'll bet
rekindle a lot of memories and all of that. And you look up at night and see these two figures flying on your ceiling, and gives me a good reminder of Dad.
Was your dad a pretty big art collector?
He was. He collected the Impressionists school, Monet, Chagall. One time he had a Picasso. He had to sell that earlier in his career, but he enjoyed his art collection. And she was my stepmother for 65 years, but I loved her like my mom. And Anne was French, Belgium, and so played a large part in kind of giving a little good taste to my father, bringing up his taste for standards. He was a little bit of a peasant, and so she was very good at improving his quality of life.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. Boy, this is a big year for you in terms of some of your blockbuster movies, in terms of anniversaries. I mean, you got, Basic Instinct is 30 this year. Fatal Attraction, Wall Street are 35. And then Streets of San Francisco is 50 this year. Can you believe that?
I can't. I couldn't really. When I saw that, I mean, I realized it was, but all of a sudden, they were all pretty vivid to me. But when you start talking about 50 years and 35 years, right. Just a reminder how fast it all goes.
But you're not slowing down at all. I mean, you may be working harder now than you have in your life, huh?
Well, a bit. I try to do like one thing a year. Sort of like that. We just completed our third Ant-Man.
Right.
It was their Ant-Man and the Wasp. Well, Ant-Man, I think, in the quantum realm. So we finished that up the end of the last year. And I'm getting ready now to play Ben Franklin.
I read that. Yeah, that's going to be...
Typecasting. I mean, I got a little bit of work to do. I'm going to have to shave my head back a bit.
Put on the spectacles.
Put on those spectacles. Yeah. Probably eat a little more, get it up. And play Ben Franklin when he was in France.
Yeah.
And right after we declared our independence as a country, and there's a lot of similarities to what's happening in Ukraine right now.
I was just going to say, yeah.
But we declared our independence, and we were still in a vicious war with the Brits. And it looked like, General Washington was going to be the first president, the shortest democracy in history. And so we ended up needing to get some financial and military support for our new country. And so Ben Franklin was appointed to go to France, because the French and the British were always fighting each other. And the French really were the ones that kind of saved our democracy in terms of their support, both militarily and monetarily. And so it's a story about Ben Franklin and his 7-8 years when he was in France. And
Yeah, and it's based on a book, right?
Based on a book right here called it's called The Great Improvisation.
Yeah.
And The Great Improvisation, written by Stacy Schiff. And it just focuses on those years of Franklin when he was in France. But man, what a guy this guy was. I mean, he just was. And one of the things that's incredible, he had Poor Richard's Almanac.
Right.
And if you see the number of expressions that we use today that Ben Franklin was responsible for, it's wild.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he might have been the very first truly Renaissance man.
He was. He was a musician, obviously discovering electricity.
Right.
A number of inventions, the Franklin stove. He was quite an amazing man.
Yeah, that's going to be fabulous. And also I just enjoy so much. Is it I think it's Hank Pym. Hank Pym in Ant-Man. You do that's such a great character that you play, and the brilliant but very volatile scientist. And I mean, I just went back and watched the last one, and when you smashed the man's face with your fist, that was one of the most satisfying parts of the movie for me.
For me. Yeah, I was not a comic book guy, I mean, people really, but I learned very quickly how serious comic fans are.
Yeah.
And they take their comic books very, very religiously and seriously. So Hank Pym was actually the one responsible for creating the Avengers.
The particle.
And the whole group. So had a lot of credibility, a lot to do. But the Ant-Man films have been fun because I never had done any of these green screen movies before. It was one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. And for your listeners, green screen is basically how you create all these computer graphics, all this incredible thing, and you're on a big stage. Sometimes the stage is about as long as a football field.
Wow!
With an enormous green screen surrounding you all the way around, and there's literally nothing there. There's nothing there, and then the director will show you the photographs of what it's going to look like. In this case of the quantum realm, it was called, when they're going to add all these things in. And then they tell you, okay, you're going to look up here and the ship's coming in from there, right? Then you're going to go look over there and the bad guys are coming in here. And so I have a whole new respect for actors acting on green screen, because you talk about make-believe.
Yeah.
You've really got to reach out for it. So it's been a kind of another quiver in the old bow.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that I've never done before.
But I can understand that too, Michael, because most of your career has been spent reacting to other people, right? And so now you have to react to something that you can't even see.
Right. Exactly.
That's crazy.
And then they'll have characters, they have these different crazy kind of characters, and they'll have an actor pretending to be him, and then they kind of give you a frame, and they're and he has on a pole, and his eyes will be up here, and you have to look and pretend that you look at his eyes. It's quite a feat, and as I said, I just have such great appreciation now for actors who do this.
Well,
this kind of work.
Your chemistry with Paul Rudd is fantastic, also, and we're of course Paul Rudd huge fans because we're based in Kansas City. That's where Paul is from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but was that just an immediate kind of chemistry? Had you met before?
He's just the best. He's the best guy, and he's a lovely gentleman. He kind of thinks the same way I do. This is not rocket science. This is not the military. We're not defending our country. This is a couple of hours of entertainment. And so I try to surround myself with talented people who are nice to be around.
Yeah,
Nice to be.
Well,
and Paul is the best.
So, do you root for the Kansas City Chiefs now?
Well, I do now.
That's great.
And your baseball team and everything
else.
else. Paul,
Right.
He is your biggest fan.
Right. No, he's great. He's fantastic. Hey, we're talking to Michael Douglas here on the National Defense, and I want to take you back to 30 years ago with Basic Instinct. Those movies that are celebrating an anniversary this year, Fatal Attraction, Wall Street. When's the last time you watched one of those movies?
Oh, 30 years
Long
ago.
time. Right. Well,
30 years ago.
I watched Basic Instinct 2 nights ago. And
what you'll do, Randy, for your work, you are the efforts that you will make for your work.
I do, Michael. But no, I didn't remember. I guess. I mean, this is 30 years ago, and you and Sharon Stone. I mean, that had to be the steamiest movie ever at that time, right?
It was, it was, beginning of the 1990s, and we were going through a very, film, a very kind of conservative time.
Right.
And I just wanted to do a slam dance movie. I just felt like, just wanted to do something. And the script came along, and the right director, Paul Verhoeven. And then we had a really hard time casting the lead because of the degree of nudity and aggressiveness that was going to be involved.
You wanted Kim Basinger, right?
Yeah, but yes, that was one of the choices. And then we were having a tough time, and then I went away, and then Paul sent me this tape. He said, "You have to look at this." And Sharon Stone had been in, I think it was The Terminator that Paul had directed with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she'd been in that. And she was just killed it. She was so good. And the part was like made for her. Not that she's that woman, but that it was just a really, really good part. And I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it for a long time. I catch it once in a while, but it was pretty aggressive. And we had a fair amount of. We had a lot of protests at the time, actually from the LBGT community 30 years ago, who were offended that we had a gay woman who was playing a murderer. And I said, well, this is part of
right.
Being part of the can't just be a bunch of white guys, that are always the murderer.
Yeah. So
it was just a great part. And it kind of fell apart because they realized that the film was good and she was so good. So I have fond memories. We all got to know each other pretty well.
I can tell.
The so-called, but all within the realms, the so-called F of the century. We shot that. We shot that for 9 days.
Wow! I feel so bad for you.
Well, it's tough work for some of these guys to do it.
And I didn't know that there was actually a Basic Instinct 2 that came out without you, but with Sharon Stone, and it did not do well.
It did not do well. I knew that was one. I was going. Even I got a few complaints on the first one that my butt was a little saggy, so I go as far. I thought by the time Basic Instinct 2 came around, man, they'd be sending me off to geriatrics. So.
Oh, talking to Michael Douglas here at the National Defense, and I think that you're doing all this work now. And my producer said to me this morning. Said because he's got little kids, and he said, he's also one of the lead voices in Green Eggs and Ham on Netflix.
Yeah,
wow.
I am Sam.
Yeah, I am
Green Eggs and Ham. Yeah.
and then I looked into it. What a cast of professionals on this thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, again, I'm sort of, I think at this point in my career, Randy, was just sort of thinking about, well, what are the things that I haven't done?
Right.
And I had not done one of these animated voiceover things, I always love Green Eggs and Ham. I love Dr.
Right.
Seuss, all great stuff. So it was just a chance to try something else out. And boy, it's tough too. I mean, you learn different things. There's a strange thing in voiceovers. You have to exaggerate. You have to exaggerate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to kind of catch on to that, just voice wise. But I enjoyed it, but it took more time than I thought.
Well, so you've done just about everything. I mean, the Kaminsky Method, which was a sensational program.
Thank you.
And I always kind of heard that if you did TV, you also have to exaggerate more so than the movies. Is that true?
Well, I guess they say that because of the size of the screen. It's I don't know. I think it really depends on the character.
Sure.
The character that you're playing, but it all comes down to your text, to your script. And on Kaminsky Method, I was really lucky. Chuck Lorre, who was our producer and writer.
Oh yeah.
Chuck, going back, he did Sybil, he did Dharma and Greg, he did 2.5 Men,
right.
Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon, Mom. Just a whole list. He's such a talented writer, and the writing was so good. But on comedy, I don't know if this is television versus film. But comedy, you have to learn to exaggerate sometimes, both underplay,
sure,
and exaggerate. So again, I have not done a lot of comedy, so that was again an opportunity to kind of try it out and work with some people like Alan Arkin and Paul Reiser, the best in their field at this kind of stuff, So I enjoyed it a lot.
So, what kind of stuff do you and Catherine, when you settle in for the evening, and you're going to maybe binge watch something, or what are you watching now?
We're news junkies.
Oh yeah,
especially with everything going on.
Oh yeah,
watch a lot of news, and we love sports. One of the things that did it for me for getting together with Catherine, when I found out, when Catherine said, "Oh man," she said, "I love golf." I said, "You do?" I had tears coming down.
Listen,
I said, "Yeah, I love golf."
That's great.
My fantasy was always, I used to dream about when I play golf and see those couples on weekends, a husband and wife out at Tucson having a little brewski. They look so happy together. Right. They both were enjoying. But I ever be able to find a partner who liked golf. I sure did.
You got and so she plays too?
Yes, she does.
Oh wow.
She does. So we're not, unfortunately, we always have to make an effort every year to kind of see the movies that are up for nominations and everything, because we love making films and working them, but we don't see a whole lot. We're both we're both news junkies, following the news a lot, and sports. Because the thing in sports is you never know how it's going to end.
Right, exactly. Especially in golf. Especially in golf.
Yeah. Well, especially in golf too, but even in but everything. I mean, look at it. March Madness going on now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wonderful upsets, and just
right.
You just don't know how it's going to end. Movies, you can kind of guess the ending a lot.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, because my wife has never been into football until the Kansas City Chiefs acquired a man named Patrick Mahomes. And now my wife knows more about the Chiefs than I do. And I mean, it's fantastic.
He's a heck of a quarterback.
Oh, man. Yeah, he's great. Well, just ask Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Man, I'll tell you what, you've done so many great things, and I know you've got the Benjamin Franklin coming up, but are you also doing a deal where you play Reagan?
I did. That was a while ago. I was trying to. I always wanted to do. I'm very much involved in, have been since the China syndrome with trying to eliminate nuclear weapons, or certainly
Yeah.
try to reduce the number of
Yep.
nuclear weapons
Yeah.
that are out there. And so I always loved the story of Reykjavik, Iceland, when Gorbachev and Reagan met each other. And it was supposed to be just a preliminary rehearsal to a big formal meeting they were going to have. And the two of them realized they both hated nukes. You know, they just both of them hated nukes. They wanted to try to eliminate them, and they started moving so fast. And it was probably the closest we ever came to eliminating nuclear weapons. Was this meeting that Gorbachev had with Reagan. So I tried for a while to get that set up, and it's still in the. It's still trying to get it going, but I don't know how many of these characters, you know, Liberace was one thing, then Franklin's another. You know?
Right. Hey, you were great as Liberace. That was fantastic. That was also fantastic. I mean, you talk about stretching yourself.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. That was a lot of appliances and pieces. But
hey, when you okay, so you're a news junkie, and obviously everybody's more attuned to the news these days, especially with Ukraine. And we have, you know, admirals, generals, colonels on the show all the time. And my question lately that nobody can seem to answer is, why doesn't somebody just take Putin out?
Because he doesn't let anybody get close to him.
Yeah.
Have you seen those meetings he even has with his Secretary of State at the end of the table? He has a very small. I mean, this is just what I'm guessing. We all have the same question.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm thinking is on the same time, we wonder why you don't take him out. On the other end, the Ukrainians have taken out 6 of their generals. I don't know if you've seen that they they've got some really good sniper shooters, and I guess it's in such a muddle. The generals don't know why it's all stuck down. So the general comes from wherever he's in his armored vehicle in the back and walks up to the front to find out what's going on. They've lost 6 major generals, and that's what I'm saying. So, well, listen, if they can lose 6 generals, why can't we at least get, you know?
I think it's time for a diplomatic visit by Michael Douglas to the Soviet Union, and just a small handgun. And our thanks of a grateful nation.
He likes poison himself, I think.
I think so too. Oh man, it's incredible. Well, Michael, you know, of course, about our audience, active duty military veterans and their families. Is there something you might want to say to them?
Well, if ever, you know, it always becomes a cliche to thank you for your service.
Sure.
But
it never gets old.
This past year, you know, I mean, my son's 21, you know, and he was saying, Dad, you know, in the last 2 years, whatever we had with the political discord between our last president and the friction we've had in this country, and then the COVID I had, and now we're the closest to World War III. You know, you couldn't ask for much more conflict in such a short period of time. So I'm so appreciative and so grateful to our members of the military. They make me sleep better at night. They remind me of what professionalism is all about when I see how soldiers of other countries function and operate. And I'm very, very grateful. I know they've had some tough goes, particularly Afghanistan. It was not the appropriate way that they'd hoped to get out and all of that. But things happen. But please know, just watching what's going on in Ukraine, how much Americans appreciate the work of our armed forces during these days.
Thank you for saying that. And it's like every time we have somebody that's an active duty on the program, they're so impressive that I always say, I'm so glad you're on our side.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're the real deal, you know.
No, they are. I mean, there's one thing, whatever political party you're in, that unifies all of us, and that's our support of our military.
Amen. Yeah, there should be no I mean, you got to support the military. That's just
Yeah.
what it is. Well, Michael, listen again. Thank you so much for taking the time. You've been very gracious with your time. Love having you on the program, and come back as Ben Franklin.
Okay. I don't think you're going to want to see that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay. All the best.
Great talking to you.
Godspeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.